Hey guys, so today bringing you another video. Welcome back to Patch Note Breakdown. This is for 13.19 and this is the official World Championship patch. So Worlds in a few weeks, whenever it is. This is the patch that we're going to be watching. I might try to watch a bit of it. It is worth knowing that if anything from this patch is just crazy busted, Riot may hotfix patch it. So, you know, I don't want people to kind of go, what is Riot doing? That's going to be crazy. They can still hotfix patch it, so there could be adjustments. So let's get into it. So it's a pretty big one, actually, and some champions I'm interested in, which is actually pretty cool. So nerfs, we're getting to Azir, Briar, hilariously, LeBlanc, Rek'Sai, Renekton, and Zeri. Buffs to Gallo, Gangplank, Jhin, Lee Sin, Lissandra, Nunu, Pyke, Syndra, and Twitch. It is worth knowing, it's kind of a running meme, but it is also kind of true. Lee Sin, if he's not in a state of really strong, he will usually get a buff when it comes to Worlds patch. He's a very fun champion to watch. He's a very pro-centric champion with like high outplay potential and big moments. So I'm happy Lee's getting buffed. About Briar as well, you know, if you go back to when, you know, a week or two ago when Briar got released, you may remember what I was saying of, I really hope Riot doesn't give her any buffs. Because time and time again, it always happens. A new champion gets released, they have a very bad win rate, Riot panics, they buff it when they shouldn't, and it's not really just the fact that the champion may be weak. People are learning the new champion. So right now, I think Briar in the last week or two has gone from a 32% win rate to now over a 50% win rate in certain rating brackets. So, and it's still climbing, by the way. So she is getting nerfs. We're having new skins that are called La Illusion, and that is for Draven, Gnar, Nidalee, Kiana, Renata, Ziggs, and the Prestige is Renata as well. I don't even know what those skins are for. If you actually do know, is it a holiday or something? They look pretty cool. But let's get into it. So, Azir, Q cooldown increased. So, it is worth mentioning Azir is definitely a pro-dominant champion. And if he is in any state of strength, he will be played during the whole of Worlds and just take over. So, the cooldown is going up by 2 seconds in lane phase. You could say rightfully so, because he is not supposed to be a lane phase champion. He is a late game hyper-scaling hyper carry. So his cooldown is staying the same at rank 5, which is good, but it's just a 2-second nerf from rank 1 and slowly getting back to what it was when it's rank 5. That is what a late game hyper carry should be, is long cooldowns early, low cooldowns late, with really good scaling. So I don't think that's too bad. You might still see a bit of him in Worlds, but not a crazy amount. Briar. So actually quite a few nerfs, by the way. Wow. So while Briar release looked quite weak, her power level has increased as players have learned how to do it. So again, time and time again, please, when the next champion, the exact same situation happens, don't buff it, Riot. Just let it be. They always panic, and I always laugh about it. So her attack speed growth is going down from 2.5 to 2.3. Fair enough. Her Q, new logic update is Q is now properly tagged as an attack reset for interactions like Halo Blades. Okay, that's actually technically a buff. W Blood Frenzy added a Fury bar to display the remaining duration of Frenzy. So that's good when you're playing against a Briar, so you fully know what's going on. And then a tooltip thing. The snack attack, so obviously that's when you're frenzied, that's her kind of chomp. The healing of it is going... So it's actually going a tiny bit up straight away at level 1, but actually going down as it more levels happens. Increased damage against minions and monsters, so that's her jungle clear, that's going down. The maximum % missing health damage against minions and monsters is also going down. A bug fix is happening. And then new slowdown there. I did a short minimum cooldown after casting snack attack to prevent double casts with high haste builds. So that's interesting to know. So overall, nerfs to W. The E is just a bug fix. The ultimate incoming pinging R now tells teammates which enemies are in range. That's just a nice quality of life update, because obviously that's like Gallo ultimate or something like that. It lets people know, you know, how close you are. So if Briar's saying, hey, I'm on my way, say she's jungle and she's going top lane for a gank, if she pings her ultimate, she'd be like, oh, you know, your opponent is in range, fight them. So that's cool. So a lot of it, they're not massive nerfs. If anything, there's a lot of bug fixes. August has been quite open and honest about how buggy this champion has been. I remember in the dev meeting, which again, the dev meetings, just for people to know, are typically about a week or so before the champion is going to go on PBE. He in that dev meeting said he literally was fixing bugs the previous night to that meeting and still had a lot to do, and that was about a week or so before she was going on PBE. So yeah, she probably still has a few bugs here or there, because I don't know why, but she just is quite buggy. But there we go. Alright, Gallo, our cooldown decreased. Interesting. So Gallo mid is currently weak in all skill brackets and has room for more power. You don't give him more power by his ultimate. The problem with Gallo, it's not really his ult, it's his individual strength. So mid lane is a carry-centric role, and Gallo is not a carry-centric champion. He's basically near enough a support or an off-tank playing in mid lane as an AP mage. He doesn't have the carry potential, so lowering his cooldown, yeah, he can go and jump on a teammate, but that's upping his support potential. That's not upping his mid lane carry potential. So if they truly wanted Gallo to get a bit more play properly, make his actual abilities have better carrying, more damage, etc. So I don't think this is going to do much. It's a 20-second buff on each rank. It's not going to do a lot, in my opinion. So this is going to interest me. I played Gangplank once or twice in the last week on Admiral Banter, and I've been really enjoying it. He hasn't felt weak, but, you know, he's the problem with Gangplank, and I will say, he doesn't fit current top lane meta. You could argue play him mid lane, and that's actually probably better if you play against a Zed or something. But Gangplank, he can split push, don't get me wrong, but he is not a hull breaker split pusher. You know, he's just not. If he's against something like a Scion or something hull breaker, he is eventually going to struggle. And I think that's part and parcel of where he could not be truly meta in top lane. But what are they doing? His ultimate is getting a 10-second buff each rank, so he gets it quicker. His Death's Daughter slow, it was a 60% slow for 1 second. It's now 75% slow for 1 second. And his Raise Morale movement speed is 30 seconds for 2 seconds, now 40. So one of the upgrades, the Death's Daughter, slows everything in his ultimate, and that's being buffed. And the Raise Morale is any allies in his ultimate gain movement speed. So that's getting buffed. So just across the board buffs for Gangplank ultimate. So that's quite interesting. But again, it's good, like a 10-second buff that, you know, a lot of the time Gangplanks don't use their ultimate for top lane. They use it to help their teammates and gain a kill or an assist around the map. Helps pressure. But I still think it's where Gangplank can suffer in top lane in current meta. They might be nerfing Hullbreaker in this patch. I'm not fully sure. Hopefully they are. But yeah, I like Gangplank, but he just doesn't quite suit the split push domination of top lane right now. Jhin, our minimum physical damage increase, so overall a buff. So his minimum damage of his ultimate shots were 50, 125, 200, plus 25% of his total AD. It's now 64, 154, and 244, and 25% of total AD. I wonder if they're doing 64, 154, 244, because obviously Jhin is obsessed with 4s, and they have to have a 4 in each of those numbers, is what I'm guessing. In a weird way, because they're giving him a base buff damage, I'm surprised they didn't make his total AD a 24% total AD of his damage. But overall, a buff for Jhin. I like Jhin. I just don't think his absolute DPS is as good as other AD carries. But he's very fun. LeBlanc. Yeah, so I'm very happy, by the way, this nerf is coming for Worlds, because otherwise it probably would be being played all the time. I will say one of the games that I played on stream today was against the new iteration of LeBlanc, and people thought the Static Shiv Mage LeBlanc was annoying because people got really into that playstyle and that's how people climbed. People didn't want to let it go. So what people did, I think maybe even from Korea, a lot of like builds originate from Korea. What they've done, obviously, Riot, to try and get rid of the Static Shiv Mage meta, is that they basically made Static Shiv much more into an AD carry item by increasing its AD, lessening its AP scaling, and therefore mages should be deterred from buying it. So what LeBlanc has been starting to do is they go Static Shiv first item, then Triforce, then Hullbreaker. Yes, they just play AD LeBlanc. They just play AD split push LeBlanc. And it's really annoying because it has the same strengths that the Mage Static Shiv did of it doesn't interact with you. You know, it W's, auto attacks, and then if it has any trouble, it has the mobility to run away. But it has the strength then of Hullbreaker, and you just can't stop it. It's crazy. So they are hopefully nerfing it like mad. So what are they doing? Okay, I see how they're probably going to try and do this. So the attack speed ratio of LeBlanc, who is a mage, who in theory doesn't need attack speed, is being very much nerfed. That's a very big nerf. The attack speed growth, however, is going up. Interesting. The attack damage growth is also going down quite a lot. Her mana growth, whoa, is that right? The mana growth is going from 55 to 25. That's going to be a very little mana pool for LeBlanc. So that actually, in theory, hurts Mage LeBlanc players. Okay. I'll if you read the paragraph here, they explain it. The mana regeneration growth is going down. The W is staying the same base damage, but an increase in ability power ratio, thus a buff to Mage players. And also the same thing with her chains. It's a buff to Mage players, more ability power ratio. And what they're saying here is, yeah, her mana's going to suck, but Mage builds can rely on bonus mana from sources like Lost Chapter and Luden's Tempest. But basically, if you're building no mana, if you're not buying, you know, any mana items, you ain't going to have any. My only thing to this of, you know, people really do like to hang on to cheese builds like this. My only thing is what would stop the AD LeBlanc players building mirror mana, right? That would probably work. So I think probably some would try to give that a go. But, yeah. Hopefully this is gone, though, because, oh my god, it was awful. Lee Sin, what buffs are you getting, Mr. Lee Sin? Obviously, the problem with Lee Sin historically in the last few years, he does not scale in any comparison to a Kha'Zix, Hecarim, Rengar, any of those kind of like big, strong junglers in recent years. Lee Sin just doesn't scale. The one thing Lee Sin always will have, though, is his power of his kick. His kick can win games. If Lee Sin gets in the right position, maybe with a ward kick or a flash kick, can get the AD carry into the middle of his team and boom, they're dead, that can win games. And that's what's exciting. So, oh, here you go. It's we're certainly aware of it's World's time to buff Lee Sin memes, but in all honesty, most Lee Sin's players are, even in solo queue, Lee Sin is just not strong. But it is also true, you know, Lee Sin's fun to watch in Worlds. So base stats, he's getting more armor. That will definitely help his early game in fights against things like Kha'Zix, Hecarim, etc. His Iron Will, so his Iron Will is the second part of his W. So the first part is the actual leap. The second part, when you activate his Iron Will, where you get lifesteal and spell vamp, it is going up in the early game considerably, but actually leveling out a little bit less in late game. And then the E damage is going up by... Oh, wait, no, that's being nerfed. Huh? They're nerfing his E damage. Huh? Why would you nerf him if you're giving him a buff? What? Okay, so they're basically saying bringing up Iron Will early, sustain, will basically be a big buff, therefore we're nerfing him in a different way. I don't know if that's needed. He's not like a crazy strong champion, so I would have just left it be and just had fun with Lee Sin. Anyway, Lysandra W root duration increased. Not bad. Again, Lysandra you may see in pro play. She's a very good team-orientated pick. That if you've got a hyper carry, AD carry, for example, and a carry jungler, maybe you've got enough damage and you can get away with having something like Lysandra that's providing so much utility, CC, slows. That's the problem in solo queue, where if you're playing Lysandra and you're only playing Lysandra, for example, you know, they main or a one trick, they do exist. you cannot guarantee, because like Lissandra's damage output isn't incredible. You cannot guarantee that you've got a hyper carry in bot lane or another. Typically you want 2 big carries per team comp. Typically, Lissandra's not one of them. So you either want your AD carry being one consistently, but what happens if they pick Lucian or something, and maybe your top lane or your jungler is one, but Lissandra just isn't that way. But they are increasing her root duration. So in pro play where people are picking, comps together, she can be a really good pick. Nunu, E AP ratio increased. Oh god. So E isn't the big snowball. E is like the snowball barrage that then eventually ends up in a root. So the magic damage per hit, it's just an ability power ratio buff. And also the total damage, it's a big buff. Wow. So it was a 90% ability power ratio of the maximum total magic damage. It's now 135%. That's pretty good. Not bad. Pike. God, you don't see a lot of Pike anymore. Health growth increased. So it was 104. It's now 110. So just, he is a squishy champion. And then his W, Ghost Water Dive. So obviously him going invisible. Still a 12-second cooldown early, but it's a 10-second. It used to be 10 seconds at rank 5. It's now 8 seconds at rank 5. So 2 seconds, that's pretty good. That's a lot more, that's good for utility. That's good in all that direction. So that's pretty good. You might see some Pike in Worlds, possibly. Rek'Sai, very strong, has been strong in the recent meta. Obviously was very assassin-y a little while back. They changed Rek'Sai to be more bruiser, and that's obviously historically what she is. But with Stridebreaker buffs, she's been very strong. So I think they're just toning it down. So her maximum heal when borrowed is going down. So it was 15 at 125. It's now 10. What? 10 is her heal. And then still the 2... Oh, and even a nerf in the maximum heal. 2 to 10% maximum heal. It's now 2 to 12%. And then this used to increase every 3 levels, but now it has more linear because it's now increased each level. That's good, but it's definitely a nerf. And then the Q, the big damage, well, actually all of them being... Well, Q and W are both being nerfed. The Q is big damage. That's being nerfed in the early game, because I guess Rek'Sai is not supposed to be great in the early. So 4% AD bonus physical damage nerf, but it's still the 50% of rank 5. So that if you're a Rek'Sai player, your late game will still be good. The W bonus movement speed. So when you're underground, you get bonus movement speed. That is being very much nerfed. Wow, yeah. So it used to be 15 at level 1 up to 30 bonus movement speed. It's 5 at level 1, so 10 movement speed less. Up to 15 at level 11. That's what you used to start on for your bonus movement speed. That is a pretty big nerf. And then the unborrow, the physical damage when you pop up, that is going up, however. Yeah, so that is going up. Starting at rank 2, that is going up a bit. And even, that's a lot more damage at rank 5. I don't really think Rek'Sai needs more damage, but it is... They're giving it to her for some reason. Renekton, this poor crocodile, man. I still will stand by, and there's, by the way, videos upcoming of me playing against more Renektons. I just don't see the appeal of him. And I know pro play is different, and I do genuinely think, like, he can work in pro play because it's coordinated play. He's so good in the early game that you coordinate your jungler to go for a tower dive, and there's nothing an enemy top laner can do if they're alone in pro play. But in solo queue, I just don't see it. And he's very fun, and I like playing Renekton myself, but you see him all the time. I see Renekton all the time. And most of the time I personally see Renektons is they lose. They lose lane. Maybe I'm, especially when I play against them, maybe I just know what I'm doing and I know not to risk, level 1 to 4. But then starting level 5, I will usually start just beating a Renekton really easily. I don't know. He just gets nerfs so much, and it's weird because he gets nerfed so much and I think he's weak. So in my mind it's weird because they're nerfing what I think is a weak champion. It's odd, but yeah, his magic resist is going down. That obviously will hurt. He's when he's top lane going against Gwen, Ken and Rumble, very obviously specific times he goes mid lane, but not usually against AP mids. But still, they're nerfing the Crocs and more. Syndra, Q magic damage increased. I like Syndra. She is quite a pro champion, so I'm not surprised they want her in Worlds. So magic damage on Q, across the board, just 5 more damage per rank. Again, this is where the part of the video that we can kind of explain. If you're newer to League and you're watching this, well, firstly, welcome. Make sure you like the video. But some people will be like, what is that going to do? A 5 damage per rank buff? Why? What's the point? See, the point is, if you ever play Syndra, or if you're against Syndra, sometimes when you're dueling a Syndra, they'll have all the data of shows like how many fights does she win, at what times does she win, of how close fights are. And typically Syndra is supposed to be a very powerful 1v1 mage. Her ultimate is completely channeled in one person. Her, yes, her abilities do a little bit of AoE, QWE, but it's mainly directed about doing 1v1 pure fight damage. And if they have the data, and if you play Syndra and you just didn't get that kill, you just didn't get that, and a lot of the time you'd blame your ultimate, and that's where a lot of people's minds will go, oh, my ultimate didn't do enough damage. But in that, before you ulted somebody, you hit 2 Qs on them. If both of those Qs hit, which they probably did, and you didn't just kill that person, well, now with this little bit of an extra damage buff, maybe that person would be dead. That's the point. The Riot aren't trying to buff this champion and go, boom, Syndra's now overpowered. Like, oh, every game Syndra. Riot is trying to balance it of, oh, you just missed out on that kill. Well, now you got that kill. Because in the grand scheme, and we all give League of Legends a hard time, when it comes to balance, League is overall a fairly well-balanced game. And I know people won't like to admit that, and there's a difference in about what I'm going to say about balance and the game's direction. I don't like the game's direction. I think the damage is too high, split push meta is too strong, all that stuff I don't like. But the balance of how things are strong against each other, for 165 plus champions, for how many items we have, of how many combos there could be, the biggest sway that we have of some champions are a 54% win rate, maybe 53 now. And the worst win rates are usually 45, 46. Again, on the grand scheme of things, in 100 games, the most overpowered champion will only win 54 of those games. That's it. The weakest champion will win 45 of those games. It's not the biggest swing in the world. So in the grand scheme, it's actually not that bad. Twitch. This is a big thing. I actually saw a Reddit post about this because it was quite funny. Because even when, I don't pay attention to what they're doing in the buffs, but I see what champions they're doing. And when I saw Twitch, I was like, And it really does make sense. So I actually played a game of Twitch today. It might be a video. I think it might be. But I'm actually quite ahead of content, so you might not see that until like a week's time. But when it comes to Twitch Ultimate, someone did a Reddit post of like, this is why Twitch Ultimate's being buffed. And it was a Twitch, basically, his ultimate are not officially auto attacks. They are missiles, in essence. So you can dodge them, you can flash them. They're not auto attacks. And basically somebody, and obviously meta in bot lane is a lot, having Ghost. And someone was ulting on Twitch and like the AD carry was ghosting and they dodged every single Twitch auto. And he was just right clicking, trying to auto them and they weren't connecting. What will fix that is making them quicker. Basically, because AD carries more often than not now take Ghost and the game in itself is way faster than it's ever been, champions are faster, takes Ghost, movement speed everywhere, Twitch Ultimate's too slow to keep up. So they're having to buff the missile speed of it, so actually the missiles will hit even a target, maybe, that is using Ghost. That's the idea. So no other buff than that, but it's a very nice quality of life change to Twitch. Zeri. The 5 movement speed nerf is here again. They used to do it a lot to Aurelia. They're now doing it to Zeri. So probably still going to be seen quite a bit in pro play. Zeri is a nightmare to balance. Obviously, since she's been launched, she's been in most patch notes, literally, since her launch. Very, she's not the easiest AD carry to play because there's a lot more aiming involved than a standard AD carry because she has to aim her auto attacks. But obviously, yeah, when it comes to pro play where every player's great, it's not hard to play Zeri when you're a pro player. So they kind of like reap the reward, as it were. So they're just slowing her down, which is not a bad thing. Randuin's Omen, not really an item that's built that much. They're making it a cheaper armor option. So maybe people will go for it more often, especially if there's crit AD carries or a Tryndamere or something on the enemy team. You should consider Randuin's. Seekers, pretty nice change for mages, dare I say. Yes, Riot does know they exist. More armor for Seekers. I'm not completely surprised. If you look at, mid lane right now, a lot of people complaining about, like, Zed's taken over again. A lot of AD champions are very strong, so armor going up is not a bad thing for squishy mages who just can't survive. So you can see here is right now Seeker's Arm Guard is below the bar set by items like Hexdrinker and Bramble. So the champion's in a similar the items in a similar area. So they're just buffing it to give it a bit more strength and make it a bit more worthwhile. Static Shiv, another nerf to the item. So no nerf to Hullbreaker. I weirdly, maybe in Twitch chat, someone said they were nerfing Hullbreaker, but apparently not. Static Shiv was modified. They're modifying it again. So they were once again reducing the wave clear of the item. So hopefully, again, the LeBlanc can finally die with the nerfs of LeBlanc herself, and then Static Shiv, hopefully it is truly gone. I think someone in my Twitch chat did say today that Freak, a guy very much not known for admitting mistakes, and Riot in general, he apparently did say that they did drop the ball on Static Shiv, and it was like a bad thing. So that is good, that they have admitted it, because normally they wouldn't, and they just ignore it and pretend it didn't exist and let it be broken time and time again. But they are trying to get rid of it, at least. In the item update, obviously in preseason, I doubt Static Shiv is going to survive with how many headaches it has given. But there we go. That is it. Some stuff. Behavioral change. Oh, what's this? Ooh. Oh, yes. This is actually quite a big topic, to be honest. Behavioral systems. If you have not heard of this, you probably should listen. So, ranked restrictions. So if you get punished now in ranked, you will no longer be able to play ranked for a period of time. So this is a positive and a negative, and like this is the problem. It depends your opinion about it, and depends what type of player you are. But so if you're punished playing ranked, you get ranked restrictions. You cannot get you have to play other game modes to then get ranked back, and that includes blind pick, draft pick, ARAM, and if there's a rotating game mode on at the time. So the good part of this is if someone is disrupting ranked so much, sometimes banning them, it's effective, but they'll just make another account. Inconveniencing people sometimes is the most effective way of making somebody change or learn, and making them kind of go, hey, you were bad, you need to keep playing the game to get ranked back, but you need, play 5 normal games or 5 ARAMs or whatever, and think about not doing that again, because otherwise you'll be straight back here not playing ranked. So it does give time for people to calm down. It does give people time to think about not doing that. The problem that you've got a lot, and this has been shown in data that Riot has provided, majority of the toxicity in League of Legends are done by the same players, the vast majority of it. So these players aren't ever going to get better. They're never going to improve. They are just toxic to the core, and then you're going to be throwing them into basically the casual queues, a lot of which the players don't play ranked because they want to avoid the toxicity of ranked. And then you're throwing the toxic ranked players into normal games, into ARAMs. There is a slight problem there. I have said, and a lot of people have, Riot, they've changed their opinions many times before. For some reason, Riot is against doing it. They have to do a form of jail queue. I think that's the only answer, because banning them, as everyone says, yes, it's still worth doing. You're inconveniencing the trolls, or you're inconveniencing the toxic people. That's always a good thing, but it doesn't stop them. They're very much, usually the most toxic people are also the most addicted people to League. So they're always going to come back. They're always going to play more. They're always going to keep going. Dota does it. Other games do it. If you're toxic, you get put into basically low priority queue, as in toxic queue, and then you can't complain if your games are bad because you did it to yourself. You know, if your games are toxic, if there's more trolls in your game because you trolled, well, then that's what you get. I don't see why Riot doesn't do that. I think it is the answer. A lot of those players, because somebody like, oh, the moment that they get in low prio queue or troll queue or whatever you want to call it, they'll just make another account. Well, they do that anyway if they get banned. But if you don't ban them, a lot of those players won't instantly make a new account. They'll keep going. They'll keep grinding on that same account. But at least they're with the other toxic players. Like, if you're toxic, I'm sorry, I don't feel sympathy for you. You're doing it. You're the problem. Put them all together. I don't see the issue with it, but maybe Riot do, but maybe they will change that, you know, in time. You never know. So ping adjustments, by the way. So I'm not sure how I feel about this, but in an effort to alleviate some of the toxicity players can face in their games, we've developed new functionality that allows us to adjust the recipients of pings. While self pings, enemy pings, and neutral pings are unaffected, we're changing the behavior of pinged ally status. We think it's important that you can quickly understand exactly how long it'll take for an ally's ultimate or summon a spell to come back on cooldown, but a significant segment of players ping their teammates' death timers and the like for non-constructive reasons. So basically, you know, I've done it, you've done it, we've all done it. If your teammate is doing really bad, it's when you just spam ping, you know, their portrait and it says like, you know, Kazak's alive, and you spam it 5 times because they've just done something really stupid. Riot really don't want that to happen, and that is going away apparently. So in this patch, we're tuning every ally ping to display only to the pinger, so that they can gather whatever information they need without abusing the feature as a means of harassing teammates. We also have work in progress for the bait ping that is nearing completion. So yeah, the bait ping, by the way, is going away because obviously it's just been taken over by toxicity. I agree with the bait ping thing. You know, that has been unfortunately taken over. I don't fully agree with them completely taking away the pinging an ally. Yes, it is not good when people spam ping it, and sometimes I've been in games where someone just spam pings it for 10 minutes straight and that's all they do. It is good that that's going away completely, but I don't think it should go away initially. There should be a smart system that if you are found to be spam pinging it enough, okay, you cannot do it anymore. It's being taken away from you. You know, if you spam ping your teammate 4 times in a row, you can't do it anymore. Fair enough. But before that, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes it's not like, sometimes it's a good thing. You spam ping your teammate if they did something really good, and it's a fun thing to do. But also, like, if you're a jungler and you're about to go for a gank, spam pinging like, right, AD carry, support, I'm ready, come on, let's go. It just kind of gives that attentiveness up, and that's not a bad thing, and that's going away. So, I don't know. I'm not sure that's the complete correct way of doing it, but yeah. So, we'll see. I think, you know, they said we'll monitor player feedback. I think they're going to maybe, in theory, change it a bit and maybe not go to the extreme straight away as they've done. Maybe they'll kind of go, right, we'll allow you to ping your allies a bit, but it will be detected. If you do it too much, then it will be taken away. But still, I don't know. Accessibility update. You can now opt into visual notifications for global sound effects in game. What? Dude, that's a setting I think we all should have on. So, Scion Ultimate, Corki Package, Briar Ultimate. It's normally a sound, but this is a great change because, you know, deaf players do exist. They don't know if they're being Briar altered. They don't get the sound. Everybody should have that setting on. It's not a negative to be told more information. I'm probably going to turn that on myself. Intro bot PBE test and bug fixes. But there we go. That is the patch. So overall, a pretty big one. Worlds, here we come. I am going to try and watch a bit of Worlds, but obviously I'm not massive into pro play, but Worlds usually is a bit more exciting than normal pro stuff. But anyway, let me know what you think. Again, unfortunately, no hull breaker nerfs, but one can dream. If you guys did enjoy the patch note, obviously I'm going to get this edited right now and uploaded for you to watch in the next couple hours. Do like the video if you appreciate the effort. Let me know what you think of the patch. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power.